Oh good, you're back. Let's talk about some bad movies, shall we? So yes, as the title indicates, this is going to be the top 10 worst movies of 2024, and I have a little bit of Knob Creek whiskey to help me get through this video. So today, we're going to be counting down the 10 worst movies of this past year. Keep in mind, I did not watch every single bad movie this year. Sometimes with these bad movies, you kind of just get the, the whirlwind of like, oh, I didn't hear that, like, movies like Night Swim, and Tenet came out, and like Mean Girls of, 2024, the musical version came out. I didn't get a chance to see a lot of these movies. So we have no honorable mentions for it this time. I did want to watch a lot of these ones just to see how bad they were. I relish in bad movies. I'm not going to lie to you. I love watching bad movies, but I didn't get around to seeing some of them. So today we're going to be talking about my top 10 worst ones of the year. Keep in mind, this is my personal list. You're going to see some movies on here that you may not agree with. I have my own personal reasons for it. I'll try to keep it as minimum as possible. So here we go. Starting off at number 10, we're going to have a slightly controversial movie on here. Some people really love this. I know that, the lead actress in this got some nominations for some things, but I don't care because, quite honestly, I found Challengers to be quite bad. Here's the thing. It's at number 10 because I was trying to find some other movies to put in this spot, and, like, it's not, like, the absolutely worst of the year. Definitely, it's not in, like, the top 5 that I have listed down here for sure. It's definitely better than a lot of these movies, obviously. But for me personally, when I saw the trailer for this, I was like, ooh, Zendaya is the leading star coming off of Dune Part 2. How well can she perform in this? And, like, honestly, she's the best part of the movie, but nothing else about it I was, like, moved by. I thought the plot was kind of whatever. I really didn't like the score in this. I thought the score was pretty atrocious, to be honest with you. And yeah, everything else about it, I was just kind of like, it's whatever. It's, it's a movie, I guess. I just realized as I'm recording this, I didn't change the lighting. So we're going to make that, and then that. Totally not going to cut that. At number 9, I have one of the more disappointing movies that came out this year, Total Character Assassination. It does almost everything wrong possible. We are talking about Joker, Folie. Now, yes, is there good performances in this movie? Sure. Joaquin Phoenix is great. The art style is pretty good, honestly. Even for the musical stuff, it's also pretty good. But everything else about the movie did not hold the standard that the previous movie did. This is one of the few movies that I have on my list that does have a review for it, so you can check out my full-length review on that one. But reiterating once again that this was a movie that honestly didn't even need to be made. It is shocking at how poorly the story is executed, honestly. I don't really particularly find much enjoyment out of most of this movie, other than Joaquin Phoenix's performance is fine, and some of, like, the direction is okay, but it really doesn't have many redeeming qualities outside of that, unfortunately. At number 8 on this list, we have one of a holy trinity that's going to end up on this list, as a little bit of a spoiler for you. I am so shocked that they made a third movie out of this franchise, because every single one of these movies has not been good, and they saved the worst for last. It happens to be Venom: The Last Dance. Let's just all take a moment to also pause and also realize that, yeah, they named it Venom: The Last Dance, as I point the wrong direction. They named it Venom: The Last Dance because they wanted to ride the coattails off of the Chicago Bulls' Last Dance. Why? The guy is in San Francisco when you see him in the first movie, and he's in Mexico at the beginning of this movie. There's really no correlation to Chicago here whatsoever. But nevertheless, it's such a drag and such an annoying plot. The villain is non-existent, and I can't believe they made 3 movies out of this. It's quite shocking how horrible Sony really mishandled a lot of the Spider-Man stuff. And I'm kind of glad that they've kind of put a hold on these Spider-Man spin-off movies, but as I said in that video, they could be making more, because they're only working on Spider-Man 4 right now, so we'll end up seeing what happens later on down the line. The number 7 spot is a good spot for this movie because I hold the director to a little bit higher of a standard because he's made good movies in the past. But unfortunately for him, he can't get out of his own way in a lot of instances, and Trap is another example of that. M. Night Shyamalan is a very talented director. I don't discount how well he could do shot compositions. I don't doubt how well he could get performances out of his actors that he needs to. I don't doubt his creativity to make an overall concept for his story. But man, oh man, does he ruin a lot of his movies with the stuff that he goes on past the baseline of his story. If you're unfamiliar, Trap is about a serial killer who gets stuck at a concert with his daughter, and the concert is basically a trap for the serial killer to be stuck in because everyone knows somehow that he's going to be there, or that the serial killer they're looking for is going to be there, and he has to try to find his way out of there. Neat concept for a movie. I really dug it. I love the trailer for it. It kind of gives the twist away basically at the very beginning of the movie, so you're more often than not sitting there like, oh, waiting for the twist to happen, that M. Night Shyamalan twist that ruins a lot of movies. It's kind of just there for you to be like, no, this is the twist on the story, is that this guy has to escape because he is the killer, and you're seeing it from their perspective, which I enjoy. And honestly, the first 30 to 45 minutes of this movie is honestly really great. This last hour of the movie is where everything goes to shit. I don't really understand what went wrong here. They could have, honestly, when watching it and talking with everybody that I had seen it with afterwards, this would have been great as like a 30 to 40 minute short posted like on the internet somewhere or whatever. This would have worked far better as that than stretching it to like an hour, was like maybe an hour 30, hour 45. Really, really didn't need to be that long. Well, you know, at least the lead actor was pretty good in it, but outside of that, I didn't find enjoyment out of this movie at all. Good old number 6. We are saving this spot for a pretty corporate-made movie. A movie that just reaps of just, well, we got to make a movie this year for Dwayne. I'm looking at you, Red One. Why does this movie exist? Why did this movie get made? I'll tell you why it got made. Because they couldn't justify shelving this movie for $250 million and making almost absolutely nothing back on its budget at this point. It's one of those Christmas movies that was just made. It very much, if it wasn't an action movie, it'd be a Hallmark movie. But the fact that they have actors like J.K. Simmons and Chris Evans and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in this movie, it's the only reason why I got a theatrical release. It is impossibly bad to look at. I thought that, honestly, the Nick Kroll scene is probably the funniest thing in the movie because it's the most insane thing about this movie. So yeah, Red One, not a fan, and honestly, it almost ruined Christmas. It might have actually ruined my Christmas. I don't actually know anymore. Number 5 is going to be a movie that maybe a lot of people don't necessarily think should be on this list, or maybe I'm over-hating the movie from some people's perspectives, but I cannot justify not having this movie on this list because I was so looking forward to this movie and then very, very disappointed in Monkey Man. There's so many reports coming out about Dev Patel doing this movie and the trials and tribulations that he did about this movie, and I commend him for making the movie, but like at the end of the day, I watched it, and outside of one decent action scene, I found myself to be bored, lacking character development, lacking interest for the characters that were there. And I was just kind of sitting there like, wow, this is just not a very well-made movie. And no, we're not going to make the jokes about how it's Indian, you know, John Wick, because maybe you could label that as its most basic form, but you're not really looking into the movie at it that much. And honestly, like, I wanted more of like the backstory, and I wanted more of like the character intrigue, and I really just wanted to care. And this movie went to great lengths to make me not care, unfortunately. At number 4, we have a movie that shows once again that video game adaptations are just almost always going to be bad, unless their name is Sonic or Mario at this point. I'm looking at you, Borderlands. I didn't really have an attachment to this IP whatsoever. I saw my brother play it a couple times, and honestly, I hear that there really isn't much of a plot in Borderlands. It's just kind of like a shooter game that you just kind of loot and find things to do. But, you know, that sounds even more interesting than what movie that we got, because this is another what feels like corporate schlock of a movie, because, let's be honest, it's a movie. It doesn't really do anything special whatsoever. The actors in it are pretty wooden and terrible in instances. Jack Black as Claptrap is easily one of the worst sci-fi characters in a movie I've seen probably since Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, just goes to show that unless you have really talented people working on it, video game adaptations are almost always just going to be really, really bad. Number 3 is going to shock a couple people because I've been shitting on this movie for a lot of the year. And honestly, I shit on this movie because I secretly love this movie. At number 3, we have Madam Web. Madam Web is so fucking hilarious, dude. Madam Web, it's an abomination of a movie, yes. But it's so fucking fun to watch. I'm determined to make a drinking game out of this movie. Out of the sheer bullshit that happens in this movie and the enjoyment that I got out of watching it, I'm determined to make this happen. And you will be the first to know when it does. Again, I can't really, this is a lot of the same stuff that happens with a lot of these, Sonyverse movies with the Spider-Man movies. The characters are dull and uninteresting. The CGI is just atrocious. The story is garbage. It's unintentionally funny to the max. And I love it so, so much. Cheers to you, Dakota Johnson, for making what movie could have been so dog shit and forgettable made my year. And we're not stopping there with these Sonyverse movies, because at number 2 we got Kraven the Hunter, the worst of the Sonyverse movies that came out this year. We really hit a fucking 3-run home run with this fucking shit this year, man. Look at this. We had Venom the Last Dance, we had Madam Web, and we had Kraven the Hunter. Not in that order, obviously. It was Madam Web, Venom, and then Kraven was the topper of everything. But let's just all look at how bad Sony has really fucked this up. And this isn't even counting Morbius that came out last year, mind you. These movies are so fucking trash. Kraven was so bad. The villain, the Rhino, was fucking horrible. Russell Crowe is in this movie and is not very good at times. Aaron Taylor Johnson is trying his hardest and he can't save this movie. There's another chick in this movie, I can't remember her name right now. She's also fucking horrible. The dialogue is hideous. I hate everything about this movie. It's so bad. It's so bad. I don't know why they thought that they were like, yeah, we'll make a Kraven movie. We did such a good job with the Spider-Man 2 game. We could easily make a Kraven movie. And they didn't. They made a shitty movie. But number 1 really takes the cake. I really thought that Madam Web was the worst movie of the year. When thinking about it and looking back at the catalog of movies that came out this year, I could not put it at 1, not only because Kraven was worse, unfortunately, because unfortunately for Kraven is so much more worse, but it's not as funny. Madam Web is like so much more funny to watch, to be honest with you. Worst movie of the year, by far and in a way. And I completely forgot about this movie existing until I checked. At number 1, we have Argylle. Yeah, I bet you didn't think I was going to talk about this piece of shit movie. Holy fuck, this movie. Cheers to you. You're fucking dog shit. This movie is so bad in so many ways. In a lot of instances, it's the same stuff that you would hear all the time, where it's like bad dialogue, bad character development, bad CGI, bad plot progression. It's all present here. It's so bad though. Like, Bryce Dallas Howard plays a book writer that ends up getting mixed in with this spy because the stuff that she writes about ends up being very true. And so he needs to protect her from like government agency people. And like, it's so bad because they try to do this twist that is like, if you watch the movie, it's so bad. They market it really well in terms of the first couple things that you see in the trailer is, oh wow, Henry Cavill's in this movie, John Cena's in this movie, Dua Lipa's in this movie, holy shit, we're gonna be in for a kind of fun ride. No, it's just her made up fucking stories about people that, she thinks of in her book, that she now has to deal with Sam Rockwell as her protector in this movie with a cat, because it's so obsessed with showing you this fucking cat throughout the entire movie. The movie is dog shit. I can't believe I forgot about this movie. It's so bad. It's not funny bad, even though there are parts that are funny. It's just plain old bad. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching my top 10 worst movies of the year that came out in 2024. Links are going to be down below for all the socials, where we're going to have a couple of the reviews are going to be up on the YouTube channel here, obviously. There's going to be some stuff I talk about on Twitter. It's going to be my letterbox. That's apaul22, where I have a couple reviews on there, especially the Borderlands one for sure is on there. TikTok page also has a couple of reviews on there and some thoughts that I have on other things. We're going to roll on into the year, hopefully better than what we did this year. Let me know your thoughts down below of some other horrible movies that I need to watch, that I need to get my fix in, because I need some bad movies, but they need to be, here's the thing, the homework for you is to give me bad movies to watch, yes, but they need to be funny, Madam Web style funny. Like, you need to give me something that I could just laugh at, while I'm watching the movie. It has to be bad, though. Has to. Anyways, guys, take it easy. Keep those cinemas alive for the better movies, obviously. And I will talk to you all next time.